Hey everyone, Annie Dickerson here with Goodegg Investments, and I wanted to take a moment to address something that pains all real estate syndicators, which is how to find more investor leads. See, here's the thing, right? You've got deals that you're looking for investors for, and believe it or not, there are people out there, whether they currently invest in real estate or not, who have money to invest and they don't know where to put it. They don't know who to trust, they don't know where to find the deals, right? So it's just about bridging that connection and creating that win-win so that you find investors for your deals, and those investors learn about the opportunities that you are presenting, and they get to invest alongside you in these great wealth building opportunities. So I'm going to share with you 5 key ways to build your investor base and to find new investor leads for your deals. And I promise, no matter where you are in your brand and in your business, that these 5 strategies will work for you. We've used these since we initially launched Goodegg Investments. We've tried hundreds of different techniques, different avenues, collaboration, all of these things. And these are the 5 strategies that have surfaced across everything that we've tried as the most effective strategies for finding new investor leads. And believe it or not, none of these 5 are paid ads. We've tried a little bit tinkering with paid ads, but the thing with paid ads is once you turn off those ads, the leads stop coming in. And so the strategies I'm going to talk about in this video are all ways to get organic traffic to your site and to your brand to find those ideal investors for your business. Okay, you ready? So there's 5 different strategies, as I mentioned. The first one, and this is by far the most effective strategy that we have found for building our investor base, and that is, are you ready? Being a guest on other people's podcasts. That's it. Being a guest on other people's podcasts. This is a great strategy because first, when you're a guest, you don't have to deal with all of that back-end production, the editing, the scheduling, anything. You just show up for your half hour or your hour interview, you answer the questions, and boom, the host and their team takes care of the rest. They come back with a finished, produced piece that you can share with your audience and that they will share with their audience as well. So this is super effective because real estate syndications are really hard to understand for people who are not real estate investors and who haven't invested in syndications before, right? And so they think of this as a black box, or a lot of people have never even heard of this before. And so it's difficult in a short blog post or even a short video to be able to communicate the whole breadth of what syndications are about, how they work, the process, the risks, all of that. But the beauty of podcasts is that they are long form content. And so you really get a chance to dig in and share your expertise and your knowledge and to show your compassion in helping people to solve their pain points and achieve the goals that they set out to achieve. And on top of that, because the listeners already trust the podcast host, when you come on that podcast, you are basically leveraging the trust they already have with the podcast host. Because by virtue of the podcast host inviting you onto the show, they're sort of subconsciously communicating to their audience that you are a person that their audience can trust because the host trusts you. And so you're already going in a step ahead. And so that is the first strategy, is appearing on podcasts. The second strategy I'm looking at my notes here. The second strategy, I want to make sure I give you everything. The second strategy is social media. Now, this one's not going to surprise you. Social media is a very effective tool for getting the word out about all that you do and how you can help people. But what we have found is that there's a very specific way that you can use social media to really maximize the effectiveness in finding new investor leads. And no, it is not posting every day. And no, it is not posting something on all the different platforms and just being everywhere. All of that contributes to you being top of mind with your investors. So it does help, but a lot of the times, if you're just sharing a quote, or you're sharing a blog post, or you're sharing a video you just created, even though you created that to help people, once they see that in their feed, some people will start to see that as an ad. It's almost like a sponsored post, right? You're trying to get them to go and look at this thing that you created with the intention of signing up for your investor club and perhaps investing with you. And so rather than putting it in front of them, what you want to do is come in and be of service. And so the way that we do this is we will go into various Facebook groups where we know our investor avatar, our ideal client, where they hang out. So for us, that's busy working moms. So we go in and we join these mom groups. They're not real estate mom groups, they're just mom groups, because we know that moms, most of the time, they're not thinking about real estate. They're talking about, kids and schooling and carpooling and homework and, all these different things, right? Occasionally they might talk about finances in some way, and that's where we want to catch them. So what you want to do is go into these groups and then look for ways to provide value. Look at what people are talking about and see if there's anything where you can weigh in. For example, in moms groups, they often talk about saving for college, right? And so they talk about the pros and cons of the 529 plan. And so then we go in and we say, well, the 529 plan is great. However, it's restrictive and it's got these potential downsides. How we save for our kids' college is through investing in real estate. And we talk a little bit about our experience and the outcomes that it has produced for us. So you can see how it's completely different, right? You're not putting your products, in this case, your blog posts or your videos and things, you're not putting that in front of people. You're using your knowledge to really serve people. So when you combine those two things, that's really where the power is. You stay top of mind with people who are already your followers, and then you go out and engage with the community and you really provide service that way. So that's the second strategy. So we got podcasts, we've got social media, specifically through groups and adding value there. The third strategy for finding investor leads for your deals is through collaborations. And so this is all about just continuing to provide value. And so what you want to do here for these collaborations is really to think outside the box. Think about, what are some other, who are some other influencers, some other leaders in this space whom your followers might benefit from learning from? So for us, for example, our investors always have tax questions. And so we might partner with our CPA or other CPAs that we know, like, and trust, and we might have them come on and do a session for our investors, and vice versa. Maybe they'll have us on to talk to their followers, or we could do guest blog posts or podcasts, something like that, where their audience is not, they're not exactly our audience, but they're like tangential to our audience. And so they're interested in a lot of the same things. So for real estate investing in particular, you'll find tax people are great. The financial freedom, that whole movement, there's tons of bloggers and podcasters and YouTubers that are always talking about how to achieve financial freedom. So you can leverage those partnerships. People who are doing retirement plans, self-directed IRAs or QRPs or something like that, where you can partner together to share information with your mutual audiences. So think about those potential partnerships. So that's the third strategy. All right, strategy number 4 is this one requires a little bit of an investment, but it will be worth it. And so this one is to host your own podcast or your own event. And these days, with virtual summits being so popular, the costs of putting together an event are much more reasonable than if you were to put together an in-person event at a hotel. People have to fly in, right? It's a big commitment. But nowadays, a lot of people are doing virtual summits, so you can do something like that, and you can create your own podcast, and that way you're getting guests to come onto your podcast. And what both of these does, I don't know which one's grammatically correct. The purpose of both of these is so that you are inviting guests to your event or your podcast. And then once they appear on your podcast or they speak at your event, then they will share out that podcast episode or that event with their followers. So it's almost like you get to fish in lots of different people's ponds. And so this is great because you have the control versus when you speak at somebody else's event or you speak on somebody else's podcast. It's their event or their podcast. But when you do it yourself, you can really choose who you're going to invite and whose audiences you want to tap into that you think are most relevant for your brand and what you're doing. Okay? So that's the fourth one, is creating your own podcast or event. And the fifth and final one, you're looking at it right now, is YouTube. Now, I mentioned with strategy number 1 with being on podcasts, that can be a really effective medium for teaching people about what real estate syndications are, because it's a very complex topic. And it's the same thing with YouTube videos. Right now, you're watching me. You get to know who I am. You see my body language. You see how I talk. You see my intention behind what I'm sharing. And so YouTube can be a fantastic place to really get deep and to build that trust with your followers and your viewers. Okay, so those are the 5 most effective strategies for finding new investor leads. So 1, go out and get yourself on some podcasts. 2, join some Facebook groups and start providing value. 3rd is think about who you can collaborate with or partner with. 4th is to consider creating your own podcast or your own event. And 5th is to start sharing videos just like this one with the intention of really providing value and sharing your expertise and your stories. Okay, so with that, I hope that you have gotten some value out of this video and that something in this video sparked an idea or a strategy that you are going to put into action to find more investors for your business. Would you do me a favor? Comment below and tell me what strategies resonated best with you and which ones perhaps you've tried before or which ones you're going to try now. All right, and finally, if you liked this video, please hit that like button below. Be sure to subscribe and share with a friend so that we can continue to create these videos for you and to share all of our insights and expertise. Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.